Good morning on this Wednesday as we are getting ready for baseball season. And I'm not going to talk too much baseball. I really, I'm not, I didn't really plan, but I can give a baseball prediction. As I got my Phillies hat as they prepare to take on the Texas Rangers tomorrow. That's a strange start of the season matchup with the Rangers, but it is what it is as baseball has, of course, started to intersect between the American and National League teams, um, which I tend to I guess is okay. Remember, back in the day when they never saw each other, I kind of missed that. You know what I mean? You didn't see the American League until the World Series, and that you kind of missed that old school setup. But it is what it is. So they will take on the Texas Rangers tomorrow. Um, my Phillies predictions. I think they seem like a 92 win team this year. And the X factor is Wheeler. Wheeler's health. Because look, he's coming back from a major injury with the blood clot in his shoulder, throwing shoulder, and that of course we don't know if his velocity is going to change. It could his velocity could, go down in the 90s. We're not sure if he's going to be the same pitcher when he returns. He does has a start tomorrow. Um, actually the 28th, excuse me. He does have a scheduled start. I believe it's I guess it's for the minor league team. So we'll see what happens with Wheeler. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Just not too, just not too, just not too confident right now with what's going on with Wheeler. Because some pitchers have come back to be somewhat successful, but you just haven't seen a full recovered pitcher coming back from that type of injury who came back at an elite level. So that's my only concern there. Teams like the Braves and the Mets, they're always going to be lurking, particularly the Braves. But the new manager, Walt Weiss, he, his managerial record is really not very impressive. Okay. Um, his over 3 seasons with the Rockies, he was well below 500. Okay. So maybe he didn't have a good team with the Rockies. I don't think he did. But he had a record of 283 and 365. That's what his record was in his lone managerial experience with the Rockies. So that's a positive for the Phillies if you're a Phillies fan. That's a positive that the Braves made a managerial move, but it's not a move that seems threatening, where you say, oh shit, they hired him. So I think that's a good thing for the Phillies. Okay. Um, so that's basically my prediction. I think 92 wins. I think that's good. I mean, Bryce Harper. I mean, what is this year? What were you with Bryce Harper? Over year. This is year 6 or 7 with him, and we've only been to the World Series one time. No, no, look, I've been critical of. I have not done many podcasts associated with talking about Bryce Harper, but off script, I've been critical of him because listen, I understand he's probably got Hall of Fame numbers, but let's be real here, man. I mean, he just his tenure here has been kind of underwhelming in my opinion. Okay, you look at guys like Aaron Judge up there in New York, who's always just crushing the ball out of the park every year. He's just getting 40, 50, 60 home runs every year. Then you look at Harper. I mean, but Judge is also batting damn near 300, right? Harper's like 260, 270, 23, 24, 27 homers. Like you would think Harper would be close to the 35, 40 home run range. That's what you want. That's what we want to see. You know, the 26, 27. Like I expect a little bit more from Bryce Harper. Honestly, I expected more from him. You know, the caliber of a player that we got, I expected a little bit more from him coming over from Washington. And I just don't think we've got that. That's just my opinion. Now, the game against the San Diego Padres and the NLCS, where he, you know, blasted the ball, took it deep, game was on the line. Yes, I do remember that vividly. I remember that. That will stand out as probably the greatest Bryce Harper moment in Philadelphia in his Phillies history. That will stand out. But other than that, it hasn't been much other than that. So it just seems like that was his moment, and it happened a long time ago. Okay. Now we're like 4 or 5 years removed from that. So we need something else that we can harp on besides that moment against the Padres. So maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year. I don't know. We'll see. Um, a few weeks, maybe a week, about a few, no, maybe a week ago, I'm not sure. I mentioned that I met a one of the greatest street ballers in the history of street ballers. Okay, Pee Wee Kirkland, and I'm going to say about maybe last week sometime. I actually texted him and I told him, I said, Mr. Kirkland, I would love for you to. I would love to interview you. I think it would be a great interview. I think I have 13 followers or 13 subscribers. I think it would be great for my 13 subscribers. And then after I sent them that, of course I didn't. It wasn't a whole. It wasn't the whole. It wasn't the whole text, but just for my memory, it was kind of. It was inside that text was. I remember saying it was 13 subscribers. And I said, why did I tell him I had 13 subscribers? But hey, I kept it real. And so a few days passed, I said, I guess that's not going to happen. And I just forgot about it. I said, okay. Yesterday afternoon, Pee Wee sends a text. And I said, oh shit, Pee Wee. So he sent me a text and it said his accomplishments of he was in the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's just a letter stating that he was going to the Basketball Hall of Fame for his contributions. And then it had an award, the Pee Wee Kirkland Basketball Award. Okay. It had that. Along with that, there was something else. Okay. Where I think there's another award to give to the rookies. Okay. So a few hours passed, and I responded about 10 minutes later. I said, awesome. That's awesome. 2 hours pass, and my phone rings. It's Pee Wee. So, oh shit, Pee Wee's called. I answer the phone. If it's Kirkland, how you doing? And he talks to me for like an hour, and we're just talking about the history and stuff. We're talking history again about basketball. To make a long story short, Pee Wee has agreed to do the podcast with me. This is going to be a treat, folks. This is going to be a real treat, and I recommend you join Monday at 10 a.m. I want to prepare for it. I have some questions for Pee Wee. Um, it's going to be a very special moment. Just to have him on the show, we get to learn about his rise, his interactions with the greats like Wilt Chamberlain, his interactions with the doctor, Dr. J. Julius Irvin. We're gonna try to squeeze in. Also, he mentioned something about the Coach Carter movie that I think will blow your mind away. If you remember that movie, Coach Carter, I think that would blow your mind away. There's a tidbit from that, and also Above the Rim and the movie which he starred in. And there's something that he told Tupac Shakur. I think you might want to hear what he had to say to Tupac. Um, also, um, and it's just his background is so it's just compelling. It's very compelling. He's just an interesting. He is one interesting. He's just one interesting individual to speak to, and I think you should definitely listen. So join me on Monday. I'm not sure. I'm not going to do it live because we don't, life events and stuff like that. This is kind of the first interview. So we're going to, hopefully we get them on at 10 and I'll be able to, upload it around sometime in the afternoon on Monday. And then, when you see it in my stories, just click on it, man. He'll be on and we'll have him on. Okay. So just stand by for that. Now let's go to our detour. All right, so this past weekend, I got a visit from the Cuz, and kind of surprised because you know what I mean. The Cuz hasn't been up here in a minute to visit, and he hit me up. He said, "Cuz, I'm coming up on Friday." So I was like, "Word up!" So he came up. We hit up Baltimore, had a nice lunch, and then we decided where we gonna stay. We still hadn't got plans for Saturday, so we were deciding on New York and Atlantic City. But since New York has so much going on, you know what I mean, with between where to stay, or whether it be New Jersey, or whether it be Midtown Manhattan, whether it be Bronx or Queens, we didn't know where. So we just decided to say, you know what, we just go Atlantic City, where we could stay in a hotel, we don't have to leave, and everything's in one place. So we decided on Atlantic City, and we settled on Tropicana. And I ain't been to Tropicana in a minute. My last day at Tropicana wasn't the greatest, I will be honest, because I remember the rooms being kind of trashy, wasn't all that great. But I took a chance. I took a chance. I saw how it looked on my phone. I was looking at a book. I saw it didn't look too bad. So I decided on Tropicana. And so we both got rooms at Tropicana. And I got to tell you, the rooms were nice and spacious. They were like like they looked like suites, but they gave you a suite feel, but it was actually a nice size one bedroom room, one king size bedroom room. They were nice. So we went to Tropicana, and it just they got a Wet Willie's now. I thought that was kind of cool. So wow, Tropicana kind of stepped it up. Inside, they stepped it up. I'm like, on the outside, it don't look too great, but on the inside, it look pretty cool. I just thought Atlantic City came along. I mean, I thought, well, that part of Atlantic City, Tropicana, on the inside, it's like they came up a little bit. From what I saw, the nice little bars in there. Place called Ricky's. We went in there for a little bit, and then we stepped up to Club Anthem. I'm not a big club person. Of course, I'm getting up there in age, so I'm not really a big club person, but just for one night, man, just hanging out. I know the Cubs was visiting, wanted to have a good time, so we went to Anthem, got a little bottle service, and we just had a great time. Um, I mean, if I'm going to Atlantic City, my suggestion to you, if you're going, is it's a pothole paradise. I'm going to tell you that right now. Them roads are horrible. So I'm fortunate enough to have two vehicles. But if you got two vehicles, take the shitty vehicle with you. Don't just take the shitty vehicle because them potholes are treacherous in Atlantic City. They're bad, and Atlantic City is just outside is bad news. My suggestion is get a hotel and stay in there for the whole entire stay. Don't even leave. The only time I left that next morning with the Perrys and got breakfast. That's it. But Atlantic City is really it has turned to a major shithole. It's bad news. But I was really impressed inside Tropicana. Very impressed on this. It gave you a nice vibe. It really did. So shout out to Tropicana Hotel Casino. Very surprised. Because in my recent go-tos in Atlantic City or recent travels there, I'll end up at Oceans or I'll end up at, generally Harris. My daughter had a little event down there, volleyball events, went to Harris, and that was pretty cool. But I was just surprised that Tropicana was the way it was. So, man, if you go back down Atlantic City, Tropicana, it's still got a little vibe to it. So, that's my detour, man. Tropicana still got that folk. That's my show for today. I'm out. Everybody have a great day. Later.